Hello, welcome back to my channel techieblossom. Often we find that we are using a iOS application, but we see material designs there. So to get rid of that, we will be using adaptive widgets, which means that you will have a single widget, and on Android it will look like material widget, and on iOS it will look like Cupertino widget. So in this series of videos, I will be creating those adaptive widgets, and we will be using those single widget which will render differently on different platforms. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first thing we will start with changing my app. So instead of having just material app or Cupertino app, we will have a combination of these two based on the iOS, based on the platform. So let's declare adaptive widgets app. Okay, and then we will create a stateless widget which will be same name, adaptive widgets app. So here what we will do is we will find we are just starting this app as of now. So now we will write adaptive app. Okay, and then we will create a folder for this type of widgets. So let's create a directory with widgets folder, and here we will create another directory that will have app, let's say that. Okay, then here we will create another file which will be named as adaptive app, and in this file you will be eventually writing a stateless widget that will be adaptive app. Now this adaptive app is being used here. Okay, now what is the use of this app? So basically we will first find if the current platform is equal to iOS. If it's that, we are gonna return a Cupertino app. Okay, and if it's not the case, we are gonna return material app. So by this, your users will have a very native experience when they are using iOS app or when they are using Android application, and in their respective phones basically. So it won't happen like if you are running your application in Android phone, it won't be like it's a Cupertino like app, and vice versa. When you are running your Android application or your app or Flutter app in iOS, it won't look like material app. It will look like Cupertino app. Okay, so that's what is the main thing here. Now let's try to run this much of the code. I will first start in iPhone, and simultaneously I will also just hit the command on Samsung phones. So it might take some time for the first time when we are launching it, because this is the first time I'm running this application, so it will take some time. So let's wait for that. Okay, so on iOS we see a error, but on Android we don't see the error, but it's a black screen which looks like a error screen itself. So what we can do, what is the error here? First of all, it says that home is not equal to null is the failure here. So basically it's right error. We have not provided any child to this adaptive app. So what we will do is we'll go to our adaptive app and go to Cupertino app, and we will have to provide a child widget to it, right? So what we will do, we will first create a widget, let's say home or let's say child. Okay, and then this has to be a required field and also a non-nullable field. So we will declare required this dot home. Okay, fine. So oh sorry, not home, child. Great. And what is this? Adaptive app. So we need to make it final. Great. Now what we will do in the Cupertino app, we'll have this child. So basically here you have a builder, and you have a home here. So when we are generating the routes, then we need to use builder. Otherwise, as of now, we will keep it simple. But later on, when you want to make this adaptive app very much feature rich, then you need to use all the parameters other than home as well, and most of them are very same. We will have a look at them in detail in a moment. So here as well there is a home, so here also we will fire the child. Let's remove the const, and now adaptive app has to be initialized with a widget. So what we will do for now, we will say that okay, let's take center, or let's start with scaffold. I will just have a scaffold here. Later we will move to adaptive scaffold. So our scaffold, yeah, let's keep it as it is, and let's try to run this application here and in Android as well. So on iOS you can see, yes, the page has loaded. Here as well, Android, the page has loaded. Very good. We have this debug banner. So what we need to do is, in both the places, we need to also supply debug banner as false. Now this value should be coming from your widgets, so that you provide this value only once, right? So show debug banner, what's the exact name? Let's copy that exact name and use it here. Okay, here we will say false. Okay, and then in the adaptive app we will have the same variable required. This, oh, it can be optional, so let's do it like this. The default value will be true, and then we'll have final bool and this one. So the same value we will be using here. Great. Now let's see what's the result. For Android we have restarted the application, but it's true by default. Let's make it, we have made it false. Okay, let's restart the application on Android. It is not working. For iOS it has worked because we forgot to use it in Material app, and that's why it's not working in Material app. So let me restart this for Android, and you will see that the debug banner is gone. Similarly, what you can do is, if you have a theme provided from outside, right, you can do that as well. So for that, since we don't have specific theme for iOS and Android, we will be trying to supply two different themes here. So this you need not provide from outside. So we will just declare it here, light, and you will say use material true. Okay, and for Cupertino you can have Cupertino theme data, which will be Cupertino theme data, and that's it. Okay, great. Now when we run for both, sorry, it has, I think, run again. Let me just disconnect this, run it again for Android, and restart it for iOS. So nothing much changes here. So what will be the changes now? We will be using a adaptive scaffold. So we'll go to main.dart, and instead of scaffold we will be using adaptive scaffold. And before going, yes, let's do that. Let's make it adaptive scaffold. Now we will be creating another folder. All these adaptive widgets we will be putting inside one folder, inside different folders for their different widgets. So we will say scaffold here, and here we'll create a Dart file that will say adaptive scaffold. Okay, now again same, adaptive scaffold. Great. First thing, we will again fetch this variable, whether it's iOS or not. You can create an extension and then check whether the platform is iOS or not, and then do the same stuff. So inside this scaffold, we will have, if it's iOS, it will be Cupertino scaffold. Cupertino page scaffold. Basically, there are two types of scaffold. We will see the other one later, and then it needs a child. Similarly, we will have a normal scaffold that we have as of now, and this requires a body. Obviously, it's not required, but we will be providing child to it. Okay. So you see in both of these widgets, the child property is pretty common, right? So what we will do, we will first say that, okay, it needs a child, and then required child. Okay, I will just press back here. Okay, we'll format it. Fine. Now the things will get more interesting because we will be supplying a child to it from adaptive app. Okay, not exactly from adaptive app, but from main.dart. We will be saying that, okay, it has a, let's just import first of all adaptive scaffold, and it requires a child. So this will be our center widget. Let's say that, and we will see the difference between both the widgets, right? Both the scaffolds in Cupertino as well as in material. So here we will say a text, and we'll say this is my centered text. Let's say that. Okay. Now we will restart the application. I hope there are no errors. Yep. So I will restart for iOS and I will restart for Android. I see a center text in iOS. Of course, the font sizes are different compared to material with Cupertino, because the default text style, default themes are applied to your text, because inside adaptive app we have used custom themes like Cupertino theme for iOS and material theme for material app. So whatever was the default text size, the text style has been applied to your iOS application by default, right? And similarly, default values for material theme is applied to your material application. So this is how it becomes more iOS-ish or Android-ish when you are running your applications in different environments. Now, there is one more thing to add. Of course, there are many things to scaffold that can be changed. But what are the common things? Like a navigation bar is there, a background color is there. So these are the two things that are also present in your material scaffold. Of course, there are other things because material library is more rich in terms of features or in terms of widgets. At least Flutter has very good support for material and a good support for iOS as well. So, but there is a limitation. There is no drawer directly to Cupertino widgets. That's why we don't see drawer in the Cupertino scaffold. There is no bottom sheet, but there is a different way to show the bottom sheet, which we'll see later in our videos. So what's next? App bar is common, and scaffold and the background color of this scaffold is common. So let's do that. We will say scaffold background color. Okay. And the same color can be applied here as well. So we'll go here and we'll say this one, take this color. Okay. Now let's declare this color. First, let's move this child property to last. So we need another thing, this dot scaffold background color, and this will be of final color type. Fine. We need to also define the default value of this color, or we can say, hey, you can be null as well, because if this is null, the default, the theme's default color will be taken. So what we need to do next in main.dart, where our adaptive scaffold is called, now we can say that the background color of scaffold can be red accent. Let's try to run this application for both the okay, for Android it has run, and for iOS we are just hitting it.
Okay, great. Looks very nice, very common. So see, you have mix of these things. You have same color for your application, but different theme style, right? So this is how you will create your adaptive widgets. Okay, so in the next video, what we will do is we will see a app bar, we will see a Cupertino navigation bar, and they will be combined in the adaptive app bar widget. Similarly, we will see adaptive sliver bar, and then we will also see how different types of navigations can be done in different platforms. Like you will have material page animation in Android application, and you will have Cupertino page animation in your Cupertino app, basically iOS application. So in the next video, we will see that.